Hey folks, so we're delving into the world of football cards. We've already done baseball, basketball, and now we're going into football. We're going to do the 1991 Upper Deck NFL football. This was the first year they went into football after changing the world in the baseball and basketball. So they decided to go into other sports. Taking a quick look, probably the only cards that are of any exceptional value. There is a Brett Favre rookie card, but due to current events, who knows if that value has dropped. Um, but there's also, we have the Joe Montana inserts, as you can see here. So we have the possibility of trying to get maybe an autograph Joe Montana. At the same time, there are some game breaker holograms that are worth a decent amount, so we'll look for those. I think there's an Emmett Smith card that's worth, maybe $100 or so. Who knows? But we'll take a look for that. So let's go ahead and get it started. Oh man, 1991. So the 49ers were pretty much the team. I had a lot of friends that were 49ers fans, so through that I kind of became a 49ers fan. I wasn't a huge fan of football back in those days. I was a huge basketball fan simply because I played it every single day after school. Would definitely play it for hours. In fact, it was kind of funny. My parents felt that the best way to punish me was to restrict me from playing basketball. But football wasn't my thing. I tried playing football. I could run, couldn't catch very well, and I definitely couldn't throw a football. In fact, a lot of people would tell me I threw a football like I would throw a basketball, and it's just not the same mechanic. So, but over the years, I have become steadfastly a more of a football fan than any other sport. So that's probably due to my involvement with fantasy football, and it's just a much more enjoyable sport to watch as I've gotten in my older years. Basketball has changed way too much. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. And these cards being flipped around is disturbing my calm, but that's okay. There's a few of these like that, but we'll go ahead and we'll get this party started, right? For those of you that knows the reference to that song. All right, so we have Dexter Carter, Harvey Williams. Oh goodness, these things are all flipped everywhere, aren't they? Vance Johnson, Chris Dishman, Louis Oliver, Anthony Miller. Looks like we actually have a Joe Montana first pack, but this is not one of the random inserts. This is actually his card, so who knows? That might be worth something. Who knows? Eugene Robinson, Jim Jensen, Lomas Brown. We have Gary Anderson, and lastly in this pack, Haywood Jeffries. I think we should be able to find Emmett Smith as well as Troy Aikman and maybe Michael Irvin. Who knows? Maybe even a Deion Sanders. So, and like I said, Brett Favre, who was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons and promptly got traded to the Green Bay Packers, where he found his infamy. All right, Anthony Miller, Randall Hill, John Taylor, Charles Mann. We have Frank Stamms, Jerry Rice. Look at that. That's a pretty cool card. I was a fan of Jerry Rice. All right, Jeff Herod, Brian Noble, Chris Spielman, Keith Van Horn, Bruce Hill, and lastly, Tommy G. So Jerry Rice, and look at him. He's playing against the Falcons there. And for me, that's kind of the best of both worlds. Like I said, I was initially a fan of the 49ers. I still am. But having lived in the Atlanta area for almost 30 years, I've eventually become a Falcon fan. I've been to a few games. All right, here we go. We have Keith Jackson, and then Nick Bell, Eugene Robinson. Then we have a Ray Childress. Then we have Mike Munchak, John L. Williams, not to be confused with the composer. Chris Carter, Rod Bernstein, Reggie Cobb, Mel Gray, Gerald Williams, and lastly, Warren Moon. Actually, he was a pretty good player back in the day as well. So the football season just recently ended, where we had the Kansas City Chiefs defeat. Who did they defeat? I'm trying to remember. Was it the Bills or the Bengals? I don't really remember. My memory's not the greatest. I remember at the time, but then, you give it a few weeks pass, and I'm like, I just know the Chiefs won. All right, Albert Lewis, and then we have the aerial threats. Brian Noble, Wilbur Marshall, Fred Strickland, Wayne Haddix. Then we have the actual Jerry Rice card. This one was the MVP. We actually have his card there. Even better. Don Majkowski. John Stevens. Jim Harbaugh. All right. And then Cortez Kennedy. And Dan Marino. Laces out. For those that are not familiar with the world of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, golly, that was an awesome movie. I love that movie. Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly, the Chiefs beat the Bengals this past Super Bowl. But, yeah, Ace Ventura, that was quite a remarkable movie. Too bad the sequel was kind of lackluster. Billy Ray Smith, another aerial threats with the Eagles. We have Rod Bernstein again. We have a double already. And then Bob Golick. Mark Duper. Ernest Biner. That name sounds familiar. Brett Perriman. Let's see. Brian Blades. Then we have Jay Hilgenberg. Then we have Eddie Murray. Then we have Chet Brooks. And Sammy Smith. Yeah, a lot of these guys, I don't recognize their names. I just was, if it wasn't a 49er or anybody I saw on television, I really didn't recognize their names. So, like I said, Warren Moon, Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, those guys, easily recognizable, but a lot of these other names I just don't remember. All right, Clyde Simmons, another aerial threats with looks like the Kansas City Chiefs. Then we have another Don Majkowski, Tim McKay, Jacob Green, Doug Waddell, Kevin Fagan, not to mispronounce that one, Bobby Brister, Brent Williams, Mark Collins, Dwayne Harper, and then we have Anthony Tunney. I guess we could also get I guess we could get Elway in this stack of packs. We have 36 packs, 9 stacks, nine packs per stack. So, well, 4 stacks of 9, if you will. My math sometimes fails me. All right, Merrill Hogue, aerial threats with looks like the Houston Oilers that became the Tennessee Titans. Brian Blades. Then we get Alan Pinkett, Tony Page, Tommy Hudson, Wayne Haddix, Val Shikahima, Rodney Hampton. And then we have Ron Heller and Don Griffin. And lastly, Jim Jensen. So this is the first series. I do have a box of the high series. I will do that in a follow-up video. And hopefully we'll get some more good cards. I think, didn't Barry Sanders already start playing by now? So we might have a Barry Sanders card in here. Alright, Ricky Prohl. Aerial threats with the looks like Miami Dolphins, looks like. Then we have Bubby Brister. Then we have Reggie Roby, Jeff Bryant. Then we have Sean Collins, Tommy Kane, and Brian Hinkle, as long as it's not Einhorn, Irving Fryer. Then we have Everson Walls, Andy Heck, and Eric Martin with the Saints. So I've been to the Superdome a couple of times. One of them for actually a Saints versus Falcons game. We went there for my wife's birthday. It was a Monday Night Football. It was Saints. She's a Saints fan for some reason. Who knows why? But it was against the Falcons. And it was a Monday Night Football, and it just happened to be on her birthday, so we went down there and watched the game. And unfortunately for her, the Saints lost. But it worked out for me in the end. Tim McDonald, another aerial threats with the 49ers. So that looks like Montana and Jerry Rice. Val Sikahama again. Terry McDaniel. Lemuel Stinson. Ricky Jackson. Pat Bench. Ernie Jones. Terry McDaniel. Jerome Brown. David Treadwell. And Ron Morris. So that is the first stack so far. And so far, the best names I've seen so far has been a Warren Moon and 2 Jerry Rice so far. So far, nothing as far as finding a Montana or a holographic card or anything. So hopefully we'll find something before we get to the half. And if you like what you're seeing, always feel free to like and subscribe. Recommend it to your friends, family, cousins, co-workers, strangers on the street. Alright. Dan Salamua. Team card for the Seahawks. Then we have Shane Conlon. Then we have Ricky Galt. Andre Ware. Barry Sanders. Look at that. We got a Barry Sanders card, folks. That is absolutely awesome. We have Alvin Harper. We have a Mike Saxon. Harold Green. Ronnie Lott. Another Barry Sanders. Look at that. 2 Barry Sanders cards in the same pack. How freaking cool is that? And a Flipper Anderson. So, nothing, I mean, we're not even halfway through the deck here, but we've gotten 2 Barry Sanders cards in 1 pack. I think that is a pretty decent way to start off this this break. Maybe we can get some more Barry Sanders. I'm trying not these. Golly, these things they're tough to open, and I'm trying not to damage the cards. But goodness gracious, these things. I understand they've been crimped in for 30 years, but it's crazy. All right, Roan Stark. Wonder if he's related to Ned. Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh Steelers team card. Strangely enough, no matter which NFL game I've ever been to, I always seem to find somebody wearing either a Cowboys or a Steelers jersey, regardless if they're actually playing at the game or not. I find that a strange occurrence. Greg Townsend. John Offendahl. I'm going to say a bunch of names wrong. David Little. Lawrence Taylor. Then we have Jared Bunch. Ronnie Harmon. Al Baker. Andre Tippett. Then, looks like we have a holograph at the end there. We'll make it a surprise. Sterling Sharp. All right. Not to be confused with O'Shea. Is that okay? Another guy. And then we have Jerry Robinson. And then we have our first Game Breakers hologram. Who is this? It's hard to read. We have a Thurman Thomas. Thurman Thomas holographic card. That is pretty cool. I think he was the running back for the Bills during their time where they went to the Super Bowl and lost 4 years in a row. And at the time, I remember watching the Super Bowls and rooting for anybody but the Bills. I was definitely an NFC kind of fan. Even if it was 49ers or Dallas or whoever was playing against the Bills. And granted, when it hit 3rd year or 4th year, I just thought it would just be pretty cool for the Bills to keep losing. And sure enough, they went to the Super Bowl, 4 years in a row and lost 4 times. And, as a young man, I just thought that was really awesome. But you know what? I have to give the Bills props. I've said this over the most recent years, that it's incredibly tough to make it to the Super Bowl one year. And these guys did it 4 years in a row. And just imagine having, I don't know how many weeks were in their seasons back then. I presume 14 or 15. But to do that 4 years in a row, to make it to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row, even though they lost, is quite, just an accomplishment. That is just insane. All right, John Alt. We have looks like a Vikings team card with Herschel Walker, I think. Then we have Mike Saxon. Didn't Herschel Walker? I'm not. Tim Brown. Then we have Jerry Ball. Then we have a Marcus Allen. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Then we have a Bruce Pickens. A Reggie White when he was with the Eagles. Carl Zander. Charles Haley. Another Warren Moon. And then we have LA Rams Vince Newsom. So I'm going to put this Warren Moon on top of this one and kind of put the Jerry Rice together as well as I get more and more cards. But that's pretty cool. We have Warren Moon, and I'll do the same thing with the Barry Sanders. I'm trying to stay consistent. Alright, let's see what we have. We have Steve Tasker, Upper Deck Checklist. We have Ronnie Harmon. Bruce Matthews. Dwight Stone. Johnny Johnson. Oh, wow. Harvey Williams. Then we have Marion Butts. Thane Gash. Wow. Ray Agnew. Albert Bentley. Oh, looks like we're getting another hologram, folks. So, let's take it. We have a Keith Millard. And then let's take a look, see who this is. We have another Thurman Thomas. Another Thurman Thomas hologram. That's within this stack alone, the second stack, we pulled 2 Thurman Thomases. That's quite amazing. I'm gonna take a quick drink here, folks. I know that was a little bit obnoxious, but I get quite thirsty after talking for about 20 minutes. I'm not used to talking this much. Well, I'll take that back. I can talk quite a bit, but when I'm by myself and not talking with anybody else, this is quite a bit for me. All right, another checklist. Then we have, what do we have here? A guy with some insane mullet. Looks like a Drew Bledsoe. Well, that's another checklist, but star rookie checklist. I'm guessing that's Drew Bledsoe. Reggie White again. Then we have Kevin Ross. Then we have Rodney Peete. Aaron Wallace. And if I'm wrong on that Drew Bledsoe, let me know in the comments below. Randall Hill. Then Randall Cunningham. Alright. Kevin Mack. Then we have Brett Jones. Steve DeBerg. And then lastly, Mark Carrier. Sorry. Every time I see Jones, all I want to do is say, Dr. Jones. I know, I have some bad habits, but at this age, I don't know if it's worth my time trying to break them. It's not hurting anybody. So, I just might slip one in if I run into him again. All right, we have Steve Young. Steve Young of the 49ers. I was a huge fan of his. I still am. Eric Bieniemy. I think he was just trying to get a coaching job. I forget for which team. Marion Butts. Lorenzo White. Mike Babb. Anthony Thompson. Nick Bell. Icky Woods. I guess that's the guy who does the Icky Shuffle. Morton Anderson. Didn't he go play for... Oh, he's a kicker. Martin Bayless. Greg Townsend. And lastly, Harold Green. So we have Steve Young and Jerry Rice. I'm really liking this particular stack. It gave me 2 holograms, although they were the same player. But I'm not here to complain. I'm really liking what I'm doing. My biggest complaint is opening these dang packs. I'm gonna pull out my scissors here in a second. Right beside me, I have like a stack of wrappers. Jim Lachey. Mike Dumas. Randall Cunningham again. We've gotten 2 of his. Dino Hackett. Tim Worley. Okay, I'm not sure this one. Team MVP checklist. Another aerial threats with the Rams, and I think this was back when they were in LA. Steve Atwater. Then we have a Dennis Gentry. Nate Odomez. Henry Ellard. And lastly, a Harold Green. And then we have 2 more packs in the stack here. Alright, what do we have? We have Tom Rathman. Then we have another Mike Kroll. Then we have Icky Woods again. Curtis Duncan. Pete Farron. Andre Rison with the Falcons. Alright. Aerial Threats with the Eagles. Roger Craig. Vince Buck. Steve Jordan. Dan Marino. Do I have one down here? I think I had him earlier and I just skipped by him. Oh well. Billy Joe Tolliver. I wonder if he's wearing Isoterno gloves. That's all I think of now when I see Dan Marino. I just think of well, I do think of Slim Fast, but I also think of, or is it Jenny Craig that he was on? But I still think of Ace Ventura every time I see him. That movie was such a quotable movie. I find myself just, it's all right. Ernest Biner, Russell, Maryland. Steve Atwater, Checklist. Carnell Lake. Thurman Thomas, Aerial Threats, with, looks like the Kansas City Chiefs. Bobby Humphrey. Mike Singletary. I think he went on to coach the 49ers for a little while. Sam Clancy, Anthony Carter, and lastly, Wade Wilson. Did he become the coach of, is that the same? Oh no, that was Wade Phillips, who was the coach of the Cowboys. So right there, we're at the halfway mark. So far, we've gotten 2 holograms. We've gotten a couple of Cherry Rices, a couple of Warren Moons, and we also got a couple of Barry Sanders and 1 Steve Young. No Joe Montana inserts. No Brett Favre rookie card. Those might be in the highest series. I honestly don't remember. I didn't see it on the box, but on the back it did have the picture of the Joe Montana's. Insert the football heroes. So hopefully we'll get one. All right, Mike Matchkowski again. Todd Marinovich. Mental Hogue. Sean Landetta. Jim Harbaugh. Dan Marino. Looks like we have another hologram here at the end, folks. Oh. William the Refrigerator Perry. Billy Ray Smith. Felix Wright. Fred Strickland. Doug Waddell. And let's flip this bad boy over. Mark Bortz. Let's see who we have. Do we have another Thurman Thomas? Looks like we do. We have 3 Thurman Thomases. Oh my goodness. That's quite interesting. Maybe this entire box was just nothing but Thurman Thomases. That is, I think the statistical numbers there are quite interesting. But we do have something here, right off the top, right? Quite interesting. We have our first Joe Montana Football Heroes card. This is the 1974 to 1978 college years. So look at that. All right, Aaron Craver. Clyde Simmons. Eddie Anderson. Mel Gray. Anthony Carter. Dennis Byrd. I think, isn't he the one who got hurt? Albert Lewis. James Francis. Mike Munchak, Tommy Hodson, and lastly, Rich Camarillo. I believe Dennis Byrd is the one who got paralyzed due to the effects of AstroTurf, if I remember back in the early to mid 90s. Folks, if you remember that, let me know in the comments below. Because I'm going off a very old memory here. Alright. Rod Bernstein again. Chuck Webb. Let's see. Billy Ray Smith. We have Mark Bavaro. Keith Van Horn. John Stevens. Martin Mayhew. We have Keith Jackson. Neil Anderson. Frank Stams. Sean Collins with the Atlanta Falcons. And lastly, we have Gary Anderson. Didn't we get another Anderson earlier in that pack? It's a lot of Andersons. I swear, if we get another hologram and it's Thurman Thomas, I'm just gonna... well, I won't do anything, but I'll just laugh. I think that'll be just incredibly funny. Alright, let's see what we have here. Brian Noble. Todd Light. Then we have Albert Lewis. Jesse Tuggle with the Falcons again. I think he stayed with the Falcons for quite a while. Lomas Brown. Pat Swilling. Was it Isaac Holt? Anthony Miller. Boomer Esiason. Boomer. Lewis Oliver. Ricky Jackson. And Jim Breach. Yeah, I found this pack, this box for quite cheap on eBay. I think you can get it between 20 and 30 bucks with free shipping. So if you're interested in opening your own pack, there's plenty of them out there. Eugene Robinson. Greg Lewis. Keith Jackson. Seth Joyner. Carl Lee. Otis Anderson. Not to be mistaken with Otis Berg. William White. Dexter Carter. We have Pat Swilling again. And now we have Chris Dolman. We have Tony Casillas with the Falcons. And then lastly, we have a Roy Green. Yeah, I'm finding quite interesting how many old school boxes are still available. I know they flooded the market with cards back in the day, but I mean, 30 years from now, there are still sealed packs of just about every brand, every sport out there, which is quite interesting. Just kind of shows you just how people are willing to hold on to things, even after all this time. And then people like me are willing to buy them. Alright, John Taylor, Eric Turner, Anthony Miller, Mike Rozier with the Falcons, Ken O'Brien, Dennis Byrd, JoJo Townsell, John Elway. Alright, we got our first John Elway. Richard Dent. Brad Baxter. Vaughn Johnson. And lastly, Freddie Joe Nunn. We're almost done here with the end of the third stack, I'm sorry. We're 35 minutes in. This will probably take me almost close to an hour since it's taken so long to open up these packs. Vance Johnson, Alvin Harper, Dexter Carter, Keith Byers, Dermontti Dawson, Randall Cunningham, Jarvis Williams, Art Monk. I apologize if you hear anything in the background. Somebody's decided they wanted a vacuum now. Craig Hayward, Dermontti Dawson. Didn't I just get him? we got two Dermontti Dawsons in the same pack, folks. That's Floyd Dixon, and then lastly Drew Hill. All right, that right there is. we got 3 Thurman Thomases in the same box, but we had 2 of the same player in the same pack. I find that to be highly statistically an outlier there. That's quite interesting. As a kid, I probably would have been quite upset. I think these were going for like $1 a pack back in the day. So, all right, we have an Art Monk. We have a Jared Bunch. We have another John Elway. Look at that. 2 John Elways in this stack. Michael Kofer, Brad Baxter, Johnny Johnson, Joey Browner, Vance Johnson, Ron Morris, Ken O'Brien, Eric Green, and lastly, Calvin Williams. And the last pack on this stack. Wow, that was quite strange. All right, here we go. John Elway again. 3 John Elways in this stack. Oh, wow. Bruce Pickens. Art Monk. Mark Rippon. Chris Dolman. John Rod Woodson. Pat Terrell. John Taylor. Eric Martin. Carl Lee, Harry Hamilton, and lastly, Eugene Lockhart. So far, no Brett Favre, no Emmitt Smith, no Michael Irvin, no Troy Aikman. So my guess is that those are part of the high series, which makes sense. I can't think of anybody else from that time. Was it Ken Norton Jr.? Wasn't he? I think he was part of the 49ers at that time. All right. Roger Craig. Dennis Byrd again. We have Tom Rathman with the 49ers. Drew Hill. Martin Bayless. Dwayne Harper. We have a Boomer team checklist card. Now we have another Steve Young. I like Steve Young. Mike Rozier with the Falcons. Then we have a Mike Babb. Then we have a Michael Carter with the 49ers. And then lastly we have a Keith Millard. Did I start the last stack already? I counted 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so it looks like we are officially on the last stack. I apologize if I forgot if I started. So I'm gonna take one quick drink. That's what happens when I get this parched. I forget. Actually, that's not true. I forget all the time. My kids will tell me, "Hey, you remember this?" I look at them with a very straight face and go, no. All right, Steve Atwater, Martin Mayhew, Jim Lachey, Eugene Lockhart. We have Brent Jones, Don Griffin. Then we have, looks like we have a Buffalo Bills. That's probably Thurman Thomas, considering it's the same number as those holograms. A regular checklist. We have Keith Byers, Rodney Peete, Chris Singleton, and lastly, we have Vince Newsom. 8 packs to go. And in 40 minutes. Wow, this one did not want to open. Alright, we have Ickey Woods, Isaac Holt, Steve Young again. That's our third Steve Young. 3 Steve Youngs and 3 John Elways. Wow. Alright, Haywood Jeffries, Ray Agnew, Andy Heck, a John Elway team checklist for the Broncos. Man, the Broncos are a bit of a mess right now with Russell Wilson. Steve Tasker, Seth Joyner, Dwight Stone, Matt Millen, Ronnie Lippett, and then Jerry Robinson. But yeah, I guess they're getting the new coach. I forget who it is. It used to be the coach for the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton. And from my understanding, he might get Russell Wilson into shape. But man, did the Broncos spend a lot of money for a lot of nothing for last season. But that's how the league is going now. They're spending a ton of money. Randall Cunningham, William White, checklist. Tommy Agee, Charles Haley, David Treadwell. Then we have Cleveland Browns. I don't know who that is on the cover. John Alt, Jesse Tuggle, Jerry Ball, Ray Donaldson, EJ Jr., and lastly, Flipper Anderson. Now, I will admit I was not a fan of the Broncos, but I did pay attention to them when Peyton Manning went up there for a few years. I was a huge fan of Peyton Manning when he was with Indianapolis. I just really enjoyed watching him play, especially since he was on my fantasy football team. Alright, Marion Butts, JoJo Townsell. Let's see who we have. We have Steve Tasker, Warren Moon, Andre Tippett, Irv Pankey. I don't think we saw that one earlier. Looks like we have a team checklist for, looks like Tampa Bay possibly. Roan Stark, Mike Bavaro, David Little, Keith Willis, and Anthony Carter. It's hard to recognize some of these logos from way back, because some teams have kept the same logos all these years, like the 49ers and the Bills and the Cowboys. But then, a few other teams that seem to change their logo like every Excuse me, every 5 years or so. All right, look here, right off the top. Looks like we have another Joe Montana football hero card. Definitely not an autograph, but you know what? This is the 1984 Super Bowl MVP card. That's looking pretty cool. All right, we have the Jarvis Williams, John Alt, Dan Marino, Ronnie Lott, Dennis Smith. Looks like we have Arizona Cardinals team checklist. Dan Seleuma, Eddie Anderson, Andre Ware. Then we have Jesse Hester and Broderick Thomas. Yeah, I lived in St. Louis at the time when the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals, both the football and baseball team were there. And then the St. Louis Cardinals football team decided to move to Arizona. That was interesting because as a kid, I didn't realize teams could do that. That they could just up and move. And I'm sure it happened way before then, but I wasn't really well versed in the world of sports. And just the idea of the owner saying, I'm taking my team and going somewhere else, just befuddled me. We have 3 packs left. Hopefully we'll get another hologram. So, but yeah, St. Louis, oh man, they've kind of gotten the raw end when it comes to football teams, because they got the Rams, you know, a few years later, and then subsequently lost the Rams. And I really hope a team will go to St. Louis and just decide to stay there. That's a really good city. I really like that city. Reggie White, Joey Browner, Ron Stark, Calvin Williams. Looks like we actually have a Thurman Thomas. I think, didn't we get one earlier? I think we did. Marcus Dupree. And then we have a team checklist for the San Diego Chargers. I think now they're Los Angeles. Tim Green with the Falcons. Sean Landetta. Clay Matthews. Jeff Cross. And in the end, it doesn't really matter. Ronaldo Turnbull. For those of you that recognize Lincoln Park there. I do that as well. I do song lyrics from time to time. It drives my family crazy. Well, just about anything I do drives my family crazy, but quoting random music lyrics definitely does that as well. Oh, look at this. We have another Football Heroes card. And from what I could tell, it's not an autograph. I'll look on the other side, though, just in case. Nope. Not. I don't see any autograph there. That's okay. Alright. We have a Pat Terrell. Dan Seleuma. Sammy Smith. Fred Barnett. Checklists. We have a Chiefs checklist. Then we have Scott Davis. Then we have a Howie Long. Wow, that's pretty cool. Then we have a Carnell Lake, a Greg Jackson, and lastly, we have an Al Toon. Not to be confused with Lake Altoona out here in the northern Georgia area. So here we are. We have gotten to the last pack. And so far we have 3 John Elways, 3 Steve Youngs, 2 Barry Sanders cards, 2 Warren Moons, 2 Jerry Rices. We have a few Randall Cunninghams, a few Dan Marinos. I have to say this was a pretty good box opening here. Would really like another hologram just to see what comes out of here. And see if it's a Thurman Thomas. That would just make me laugh. Alright, so we have a Joe Montana here. I think this is the one that would get an autograph if there was one. Will it be? My bet says no, but let's find out. No, it's not. Woo! That would have been just absolutely epic if it was. But we do have another Joe Montana card. That would have just made my day. That would have been like, oh. I think you would have heard silence for like the next, who knows how long. Joe Montana, I'll put that here. I think we had another one earlier. All right, Tim Green with the Falcons. Anthony Tooney, James Lofton, Barry Sanders. That's a season leaders card, so still it's Barry. And then we have Indianapolis Colts. I'm not sure who that is. It's definitely not Peyton. Kenneth Davis, Raina Thompson. We have a Paul Farron and Alvin Walton. And very last card would be Tony Mandarich. So we did not get an autograph. But man, that would have been absolutely amazing if I had pulled that. I definitely would have been. My heart would have been racing on that one. But all in all, not too bad of a pull. We have some John Elways, we have some Steve Youngs, we have some football heroes with Joe Montana. We actually have a Joe Montana card. We have 3 holograms with Thurman Thomas, some Barry Sanders here, and some Warren Moons and some Jay Rices, and like I said, a few other ones. So for my first pull of the 1991 Upper Deck Football Heroes inaugural edition, not a bad haul. In fact, my next video I will probably do the High series. I do have one of those. I should have had 2 of them, but the person I bought it from sent me the box from the inaugural edition, and I don't think I'm gonna really complain or anything about that. I'll just probably buy a High series from somebody else. Like I said, they're between $20 and $30, so not a huge loss there. But all in all, I like what I got here. I do have, like I said, some more 91. I have some 92s coming in pretty soon, and I do have some 93 cards, and I think I have a box of 94. So, and I've never opened up any packs of 93 and 94. I'm trying to remember if I opened up anything from 92. So those will be all brand new experiences. The 91s, I did open up some back in the day, and I do remember getting a Pro Bowl card. I can't remember. I think it was Upper Deck, and I still have it. It was a very nice, very pretty card, but I haven't seen it really anywhere as far as value or anything like that. But I do have it in my personal collection. I think it's absolutely awesome. Anyway, like I said, we've hit over 50 minutes. We're actually 5 minutes shy of an hour, but this was a whole lot of fun. I will post this in upcoming days. I'll schedule it. I have a few other videos before this one, but I will be doing this. I have some hockey boxes coming in. I have some more baseball coming in. I have a slew of baseball in my closet here, and I have some more basketball coming my way. So this is all way too much fun, and we'll see how things go. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, you can always hit that thumbs up button. If you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. I'm pretty sure once I hit a few milestones, maybe when I hit 100 or 500 or maybe even 1,000, I'll give some cards away, because I definitely don't have the room for all these cards. So but chances are what I'll do is get some of these graded as well, just to delve into that realm. I haven't done anything like that before, but this whole world intrigues me. I used to do it a long time ago, and I've just now gotten back into it, and it's just so much fun. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.